Good morning. Welcome to this circle. How lovely. Look around, relax. Here we are. We seem to find ourselves at Southminster Steinhauer United Church. We are spiritual seekers united in community. And you are part of this community. If this is your first time here, or if you haven't been here in a long time, this is your circle. You are all welcome, just as you are, and with all that you carry. Today I bring some old grief with me, and also anticipation of a skate outside later today. We all bring our feelings, our memories, and our stories with us to this place. And we're welcome here with all that makes us who we are. We are safe to be ourselves in this circle. We gather too as part of a larger circle with our brothers and sisters and siblings with whom we share this land. SSUC is on the ancestral sacred land of the Cree people, the Papas Chase First Nation, the Métis Nation, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, and many others for whom this was and is a traditional gathering place.
We light this candle, a spark of possibility, a flicker of energy, a reminder that our life depends on light. And sometimes our experience of light is that it's so bright it hurts our eyes. Sometimes the darkness is so deep it's hard to detect light. So we come together with one another in circles like this to share the light of our story and song, to share the light of our hopes and prayers, to share the light of a new day in which our light is born to shine. For many of us, there's been a prayer that has traveled with us in our tradition, words that we have come to know as the Lord's Prayer or the Prayer of Jesus. A kind of pattern that was given to us by some writers in the first century in response to a question the Friends of Jesus asked to teach us to pray. So we take the cadence of that prayer and the images and longings that come out of the time in which we ourselves live, and together we offer these words with one another that they might be a way of strengthening our intentions to live in this day in ways that are life-giving and light-giving. We embrace the sacredness of life with awe and reverence, and we commit ourselves to work for a more fair and just world. We seek to live with deep intention that all may have enough for today, as we let go of the guilt and regret that encumbers us and embrace relationships of trust. May forgiveness open a way to freedom. We long to live examined lives, inspired to find meaning and purpose in our living, working with what is, to bring about the world as we would wish it to be. May it ever be so.
It's called A Time for All Ages, and it means that anyone who wants to come to this front circle carpet is welcome to come, and we'll have a conversation. We'll have some time together. And if you stay in your seats, that's okay too, because we always talk from wherever you are. So, no pictures today. Okay, I have something that I wanted to ask you. Do any of you have a junk drawer at home? Do you have a junk drawer? What's in your junk drawer? What's in your junk drawer? Name some stuff. A junk drawer is just a drawer that, like, you just put stuff in because you don't know where else to put it, right? You have a junk drawer in your room, kind of like that? What do you have in your drawers? Rocks? That's good, because where else do you put a rock? It's hard to know. Anyone else? Yeah? Electronic stuff. At the risk of being embarrassed, I brought my junk drawer. It's funny, the things you do when you have a time for all ages. You just decide one day, I'm going to bring my junk drawer to church. So I wanted to show you some things. Let's see. I've got glue and a bottle and a tube and a can. What more? And another tube. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of glue. I've got tape and duct tape. There's another tape. I've got a calculator. I've got two pairs of pliers. And then these are in my junk drawer. These are phones that don't work. I don't know why I'm keeping them. Look what I found. Canadian money. 10 cents. Whew. Oh my goodness, there's just a lot of stuff in here. And there's a screwdriver, lots of screwdrivers, batteries. Oh my goodness. Sometimes with a junk drawer, the reason why it gets to be a junk drawer is because, at least for me, it feels easier to just keep throwing stuff in there than to spend all the time to organize it and figure it out. So it just stays a junk drawer in my kitchen. That's the way it's probably going to stay. But it is hard to organize that, but I did something this week that might help me tackle this, because I decided that it's easier to organize something like that if I make a plan. So this week in my office, I made a bit of a plan, because I looked at my bookshelf in my office, and most of the shelves I kind of like looking at, but do you see the bottom one? Do you see the bottom shelf? It's not neat and tidy at all. It's been like that for 2 or 3 years. So, and also, do you see that I have a lot of kids' books? I don't know if you noticed that. But up on the top now, there's books going sideways because there's not room. So I decided to make a plan. So in the next picture, you're going to see my plan. I got out a blue bag, and I got out a box that says sell or give it away. And I decided I'm going to sort these things out. So I started with a plan, and that made it a little easier, because I thought, I don't have to do everything, and I don't know where to start. I could just start with a plan, and this was step 1. Get these things out so I'm ready, okay? And then, here's step 2. I put a lot of things in those, in the blue bag and in the box I wanted to get rid of. And it didn't seem like a lot, but I managed to do half of one shelf and half of another of all stuff I don't want on my bookshelf anymore. That's not bad. So then the next picture, I put a question mark on. Because I wonder, what should I do with all that space? Do you have any ideas? What could I do? Oh, that's not a bad idea. I could put a junk drawer there. That's a good one. I heard someone else over here say a wicked little plan, which was to buy more books. That seems like maybe I don't need more books. What's another idea? Oh, I could put nice-looking things. Well, I thought I would try that, so I have another picture. I put my robot dinosaur there. Because the robot dinosaur lives in my office, but way up high, so I thought, well, maybe it should be right there. Well, I don't know. But you know what? Making a plan made it easier for me to make room. And when I made room, now I have lots of other things I could do. I could put other books on there. I could put nice, interesting things on there, like robot dinosaurs, or I don't know, what else? A flower? Who knows? A musical instrument? Oh yeah, I have lots of things I could put there. So it's wonderful that we can do this. If you have a junk drawer at home, and if you're feeling like you're a bit anxious about it, like you don't know how to do it, you could try making a plan. It helps. And the other thing we could do is just make space for who knows what. It's okay if it stays empty, isn't it? I might keep it empty, because that's okay too. So good luck with your junk, and I hope you wish me luck with mine. Today, in Kid Spirit, you're going to talk more about making plans and having good habits of kind of starting something with the end in mind. So have a great time in Kid Spirit. That's for anyone from kindergarten up to grade 5 or so. And if you are older than that, if you're grade 6 or junior high or senior high, you're welcome in Youth Cafe today, and that's meeting downstairs in our youth room.
This is a poem by Joy Harjo, who is an Oklahoma native who identifies as Muskogee Creek Nation. She's a teacher, a saxophonist, and a vocalist. She has recorded some solo albums and a great American poet. This is her poem for calling the spirit back from wandering the earth in its human feet. Put down that bag of potato chips, that white bread, that bottle of pop. Turn off that cell phone, computer, and remote control. Open the door, then close it behind you. Take a breath offered by friendly winds. They travel the earth gathering essences of plants to clean. Give it back with gratitude. If you sing, it will give your spirit lift to fly to the stars' ears and back.
Acknowledge this earth who has cared for you since you were a dream, planting itself precisely within your parents' desire. Let your moccasin feet take you to the encampment of the guardians who have known you before time, who will be there after time. They sit before the fire that has been there without time. Let the earth stabilize your post-colonial insecure jitters. Be respectful of the small insects, birds, and animal people who accompany you. Ask their forgiveness for the harm we humans have brought down upon them.
Don't worry. The heart knows the way, though there may be high rises, interstates, checkpoints, armed soldiers, massacres, wars, and those who will despise you because they despise themselves. The journey might take you a few hours, a day, a year, a few years, 100, 1,000, or even more. Watch your mind. Without training, it might run away and leave your heart for the immense human feast set by the thieves of time. Do not hold regrets.
When you find your way to the circle, to the fire kept burning by the keepers of your soul, you will be welcomed. You must clean yourself with cedar, sage, other healing plants. Cut the ties you have to failure and shame. Let go of the pain you're holding in your mind, your shoulders, your heart, all the way to your feet. Let go the pain of your ancestors to make way for those who are heading in our direction. Ask for forgiveness.
Call upon the help of those who love you. These helpers take many forms: animal, element, bird, angel, saint, stone, or ancestor. Call your spirit back. It may be caught in corners and creases of shame, judgment, and human abuse. You must call in a way that your spirit will want to return. Speak to it as you would to a beloved child. Welcome your spirit back from its wandering. It may return in pieces, in tatters. Gather them together. They'll be happy to be found after being lost for so long. Your spirit will need to sleep a while after it is bathed and given clean clothes.
Now, you can have a party. Invite everyone you know who loves and supports you. Keep room for those who have no place else to go. Make a giveaway, and remember, keep the speeches short. Then you must do this: help the next person find their way through the dark. In the thoughts of this contemporary poet,
May we find wisdom for our living.
This story is one of 3 parables that Luke has Jesus speak of being lost and found. It's in between the story of a shepherd losing a sheep in a flock of 100 and the story about a father losing his son. This one is about a lost coin. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? When she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." In this parable, attributed to the Jesus tradition and passed down to us in writings from late in the 1st century, may we find wisdom for our living.
I remember when everything I owned fit neatly in the hatchback of my Chevette. And moving was a piece of cake. In fact, I did it 9 times in the first 6 years after I left home. And even after university and graduate school, everything I had still fit in the back of the Chevette, except now I needed to use the roof rack. So how was it that 5 years later, when I moved from Calgary to Edmonton, I needed to rent a moving truck to transport everything I had acquired in the first 5 years of my working life? And now the accumulation of 30 years and the amalgamation of 2 households into our shared home, stuff seems to have multiplied exponentially. So many of you have downsized in the last several years, and you know how much we accumulate in our privileged lives and what a mammoth task it is to sort and shed some of that stuff to fit our life into a smaller space. So every now and then, something comes over me and I need to spend time tidying a space, like Chris's shelf. I need to clean out a drawer or get rid of that mountain of paper that takes up residence with us. Or I need to sort piles and cart boxes out of my house or my office. And for some reason, for many years, my habit has been on my first day back at work after vacation or after a few days away, I've always spent the day purging paper getting rid of files, reorganizing workspace. And across my life, I've never been able to sit down and write a paper or work on an assignment or even write a reflection without first creating the space around me, clearing the chaos and the clutter in the hopes that the mind might be able to focus. Now, I know it's probably a habit that is some combination of an obsession I have with clutter and a compulsion I have for tidiness and procrastination for what it is I really ought to be doing that day. But it's also some part spiritual practice. A spiritual practice I recognize I need in order to survive. Because somehow when I'm surrounded by stuff and sound, my spirit wanders off somewhere and gets lost. I wish there was a key like this. Even on my laptop, just to clean up all the digital clutter in my life. And then I wish there was a key like this so we could press sort of like a doorbell, that would declutter drawers and closets and desks and filing cabinets and spare rooms. But if there was such a button, that would eliminate the spiritual work of decluttering. Rediscovering the treasures we've lost in the clutter. Making the hard choices to keep only what we need now. Letting go of ideas that served their time in our lives but are well after their best before date. Decluttering those relationships in our lives that can't seem to be healthy. And the habits that have taken us prisoner. And that spiritual work of decluttering involves some things we talked about last week. Regifting and recycling and repurposing and composting what we've accumulated in life that has served its time with us and perhaps could maybe benefit someone else. That work we just sang about a few moments ago. Clear the chaos and the clutter. Clear our eyes that we can see all the things that really matter. Be at peace and simply be. And there's no magic button. There's no 7 easy steps. There's no prayer or incantation. There's just intention and effort to recover the space, the spirit, the treasure that we've lost to the clutter. Maybe that's why I resonate with the parable about the woman sweeping her house to find the lost coin. It's a very compact story. Very tidy, very short, no real twists in the plot, no time given to character development, no clutter of details. In the words of Renita Weems, who's a feminist, womanist theologian, she says, it's just about a woman with 10 coins, precious to no one but herself, who loses one, and after a few moments of panic and fright, lights a lamp, sweeps the entire house, and searches diligently for the coin she lost. When she finds it, she calls together all her friends who are baffled by all the ruckus she's created over one simple coin. But she knows the true value of one coin when you're down to your last 10. She knows how easy it is to lose and how rare it is to find precious items. She knows that there's more to celebrate than meets the eye. In order to find her coin, she had to sort and sweep through the clutter of her home. And that itself was as much cause for celebration as finding the coin. To find what you're looking for right smack in the middle of life's clutter is a miracle of grace. It's the story of losing something you couldn't bear to lose and finding more than you lost. This woman with the broom sweeps out of the once upon a time world of stories and into our consciousness to invite us to discover something valuable we've lost along the way. Something we've lost sight of. Something like most discoveries. It's been there all along, but we didn't know quite how to find it. Something that is within us, within each of us. Just like the coin was in the woman's own house. She never lost custody of it. She lost track of it. The woman with the broom in her hands invites us to sweep our hearts clean of the stuff of life, the stuff that has made it hard for us to find what's really important to us, and to find what has become lost to us. To rediscover the parts of ourselves that have been crowded out of our consciousness and lost to the clutter of non-essentials. The woman with the broom in her hands steps out of the story to invite us to discover our potential as human beings in a spiritual experience. To rediscover and recover the humanity we've lost to our hurts. The ones we've lost in our own house, in our own heart. Treasures that help us reclaim what matters most to us. It's the same spiritual practice the Muskogee Creek Nation woman Joy Harjo describes in her poem. Because the sweeping woman and the poet are both trying to unite us with our lost self, with our true spirit, with our wandering souls. To sweep our hearts clean of the junk and distraction, to close the door on whatever it is that keeps us from truly living and deeply loving. To breathe gratitude for the places that are life-giving. To sweep our hearts clean of disrespect and worry and regret. All the souvenirs of failure and shame. To forgive and be forgiven. To welcome our spirit back from its wandering. And then to celebrate. In the words of the poet, now you can have a party. Invite everyone you know who loves and supports you. Keep room for those who have no place else to go. Make a giveaway, and remember, keep the speeches short. Then do this. Help the next person find their way through the dark. Like the woman in the story, when she found what she was looking for, she had to celebrate that in community. It wasn't good enough to just sit down and pour herself a glass of wine and celebrate her good fortune by herself. She had to call her friends and her neighbors. She had to tell her story. She had to celebrate what she found in the company of community. She must have spent a few of those precious coins to celebrate the joy of her discovery. Perhaps, when she found what she'd lost, she realized it wasn't hers to hold on to. It was hers to share generously with others. Or maybe when she found what she'd lost, it was impossible to keep it to herself or to keep it for herself. As the poet said, then you must find the next person and help them find their way through the dark. Because what we find, we must return or reclaim or recycle or repurpose or restore or regift. Celebrate and share. Because the goal of authentic spiritual practices is not self-improvement. Spirituality is not a private enterprise. It's not about, if it doesn't lead us to better relationships and better communities and a better world, what is the point? Decluttering begins at home, but it sure doesn't end there. Because we find ourselves, in order to give ourselves away in ways that help others get through the dark. We find the precious coin, not to find another place to hide it, or to hoard it, or another place to put it in the house where we'll lose it, to the clutter again. But the point is to spend it, to share it, to invest it. This is a day where we pause and take time and space in silence to think about where it is we need to sweep. What it is that we have to put down and turn off. What door it is we have to open or close to find our way through the clutter to the circle, to the fire that's kept burning by the keepers of our souls, where we will be welcomed home again. To call our spirit back from the corners and creases of shame and judgment and abuse. To welcome it back from its wanderings. To bathe and sleep and throw a party. Make a giveaway. Help the next person find their way. So we take this time to ponder where it is we need to sweep. There are so many ways to pray. Thousands prayed yesterday with their feet as they marched in cities across the world in protest and in hope. And one of the ways we pray is to name with one another the places of creativity and the places of chaos, the places of beauty and the places of brokenness. So I want to give us a few moments to name with one another in this circle those things that make our hearts sing, for which we're deeply grateful, and those things which make our hearts heavy with grief or worry or fear, which we also hold with one another. And if we might name whatever it is, the beauty or the brokenness, into the circle, and then offer this phrase we'll all say together, "We do not walk alone."
I would pray for the family of my next door neighbor who died very suddenly last weekend. Her husband and her sons are coping with this unexpected turn of events. And so in the midst of beauty and brokenness, we do not. We've heard quite a bit in the news lately about someone's very negative description of the country of Haiti. Well, some people may have a very low opinion of countries such as Haiti. Others understand that the people are doing their best under very trying circumstances. The country still has not fully recovered from Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Powerful winds and torrential rain washed away fields, livestock, and homes, ripped the roofs off houses, churches, and schools in the southwest portion of that country at the time. The only bridge leading to that section of the country was destroyed, and suddenly farmers who had been very self-sufficient in exporting produce could no longer even feed their families. At the time, many United Church families responded generously. The United Church works with several partners in Haiti, including the Methodist Church of Haiti, ACT International, which is Action by Churches Together, part of the World Council of Churches. ACT is an ecumenical emergency and development coalition. The United Church also works with the Carl Levesque Cultural Institute. By working within the countries and supporting these groups, they are on the ground, they know what is needed, and they are best suited to provide help. When money was desperately needed immediately after the hurricane, donations went for food and for shelter. Now, of course, it's more into the development, the education, and trying to help people become self-sufficient again. The Carl Levesque Institute is named for a Haitian-born Jesuit priest who studied and entered the priesthood in Montreal. He returned to Haiti following the Duvalier regime overthrow, but died in 1986. The Institute honors his name and the work he did both politically and socially to support the rights of the people. Today, gifts from our United Church Mission and Service Fund mean that his memory and legacy live on. They help the Institute provide training and workshops to encourage cooperation, mutual support, and self-sufficiency. Through the Mission and Service Fund, our donations that go from here at Southminster Steiner can help organizations such as this, not only in Haiti, but in many countries around the world, as they struggle to overcome a lack of education and resources and to reduce poverty.
We go from this place each week not simply to hold light or to hold the same space for each other, but to also make new spaces. To clear the way for the things that are most important to us. To clear the space for new relationships, for new loving, for the values that we hold dear and that make our families, our connections, our communities a better place. In that spirit, we go from this place, clearing the clutter, the chaos, and making way for goodness. May we go in that spirit.
Hey, it's Christopher. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch last week's video, click this button right here. If you can manage it and can donate to SSUC to help us continue this video page, click right here. And for any information that you want about SSUC and our programs, visit our website right there.